This is Eat, Sleep, Boxing, Repeat. I'm delighted to be joined by Danny. Danny, how are you?
All's good, Paul. Always good to speak to you, mate. Hopefully find a few winners for our lovely subscribers today.
Yes, as Danny says, we're hopefully going to find you a few winners because this is, of course, our weekly betting show. There's going to be two this week. Obviously, we're gonna do this one centered around the Shields Marshall card and the Sky Boxer show in London, and we're going to do another one dedicated to the boxing around the world, stateside and beyond, like the likes of Devin Haney fighting George Kambosos Jr. and Deontay Wilder, obviously. But yes, as I mentioned, this one is obviously for the Sky card at the O2 in London. So yeah, just before we get into it, if you aren't a Sky subscriber and do want to tune into this fight, there'll be a link in the description below. If you want to click on that, and you'll be able to buy a day pass, a 24-hour pass, whatever suits you best to be able to watch the fight. So yeah, that's how you can do that. So yes, Danny, we'll get right to it. I'll come to you first for a prediction. I believe you have two betting tips for us. So whatever order you want, just fire away and let us know.
First of all, just delighted the card's actually going ahead. I think when it was postponed due to the passing of the Queen, just because it's boxing and there's so much going into it, you thought are we going to see this card in its current form? But fair play to Sky and Boxer and the board and whoever for getting it on again and having all the fights. The all-female card, obviously a big deal. So I've just gone for the co-main and the main event. So I'll start with the co-main. This might be a controversial one. This is, I would say, probably the least favoured. I think with the odds, it might be the least favoured one in terms of likelihood. But I'm going to go with Mikaela Mayer to stop Alicia Baumgartner, which you can get at 6-1. I was doing research for this, and obviously their amateur pedigree's spoken about a lot, and sort of take from that what you will. But Alicia Baumgartner's only been to 10 rounds once, and that was her last fight in Manchester, and I was at that. And that was fought at an absolute snail's pace. Honestly, it was no disrespect, one of the most boring fights I've watched live. And Mikaela Mayer fights at a frantic pace. I think her power is slightly underrated as well. She's quite a few stoppages in the early part of her career, and then obviously up the levels, and they become more points victories. There's real animosity in this fight, and I think the pace Mayer fights at, provided she can avoid Baumgartner's right hand, which I think, to be fair, is her only real chance against Mayer. She's not going to outwork her. She's not going to outbox her. So I think down the stretch she will feel that pace. And as I say, because of the animosity is there, and I think it is genuine. I don't think it's sort of put on for the cameras or anything. I think if Mayer sees an opportunity to get her out of there, she'll take it and she'll really stick it on her. So I just think, in terms of value, that's where it lies, because I do make Mayer quite a clear favourite, and Mayer points is 1-2, something like that. So I think the 6-1 is quite appealing.
Yeah, fair play. I do agree with you in who I think will win the fight. I personally can't see. I think everything you said there about the levels you kind of fought at, and the fact that Baumgartner's only gone 10 rounds once. And who better to give an analysis than you sitting there ringside? So yeah, no, I completely agree with what you're saying. I do think Mayer will win as well. You mentioned there, obviously, backing her on points to wins 1-2 or so. So I was just doing a wee bit more research, and I think if she is going to win on points, it'll be by unanimous decision, which is just around evens. It's just short of evens. It's 20-21. I think I got that on Bet365. But whatever betting customer or betting operative you use, yeah, I'm sure you'll get around evens for Mayer via unanimous decision. So yeah, we both agree with the who will win, just perhaps a bit of a different outcome. So
that evens on a unanimous decision is a decent price, because I think the decision is the more likely of the two. I just think it wasn't sort of that lopsided in terms of going 1-2 to 6-1, but that evens on a unanimous decision is not a bad price.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with you, and I have a feeling that we may perhaps agree on the outcome of the main event here on our betting tip, because I do think that when we were originally recorded this, me, you, and Elliot, we did this, and we kind of both came to the same conclusion in the main event. So yeah, what's your betting tip for Shields v Marshall, Danny?
Yeah, you're right. I was actually thinking about that. I was dangerously close to switching. Honestly, I was, because you see online, and I feel as if I don't know, maybe it's who I follow and what I see, but most people are starting to sway towards Shields and that. But I'm going to stick with the original pick, as you alluded to, and go with Savannah Marshall on points. Don't know how much that might be heart rolling head slightly. I think you can get it 11-4. She's got the physical advantages. She's taller, she's got a longer range, she's got more power. That's obviously been well spoke about. And I think the sort of reasoning behind picking Marshall on points is Shields, like, as much as she can say in the build up that she doesn't rate Marshall's power, she'll be well aware of how hard Marshall can hit. And I'm hoping that will put her off what her normal game is, because she's not really like, she's made out to be pillow fisted, but she fights on the front foot, you know. And I'm hoping being wary of Marshall's power and perhaps maybe feeling the power early, maybe an early knockdown, will sort of disrupt her normal game plan enough so that Marshall can get behind that jab, adopt the sort of traditional Peter Fury style that we saw, obviously Tyson Fury in his early career, Hugh Fury to an extent, and maybe with the help of some British judging, get a decision. And I think 11-4 is a really good price. Marshall's obviously a massive puncher, but this sort of completely contradicts my bet in the first point. But most female fights do go the distance. 10 rounds, 2-minute rounds. So yeah, just the reasoning I've give, perhaps a bit of bias. I think Savannah Marshall on points 11-4. You could do worse than that.
Yeah, you've said anything I was going to say there. Really, I was dangerously close to switching too, but I've stuck with Marshall. Stuck with Marshall as well. Yeah, I definitely do think that it mustn't just be you; it must be me as well. Everyone I follow, not everyone, of course, but a lot of people do seem to be edging towards Claressa Shields now. You know, the whole thing of the fact, yes, I know Marshall's beaten her before in the amateurs, but that was 10 years ago. Shields was only 17. So, you know, like, when you're 17, you haven't remotely grown to be to your full capacity, and she's probably nowhere near the best of her ability then too. Obviously, you can say the same for Savannah Marshall, but the fact she was 17 and it was still a close fight. And she's adamant she still won that fight, I'm pretty sure.
I think she might have won the fight, to be honest. I watched it a couple of weeks ago and played the fifth.
Well, yeah, no, I'm going to agree with you. I'm sticking with the decision. I think I found it around 3-1 for Marshall decision. So yeah, 11-4, 3-1. Really good price if you do think Marshall's going to get it on the cards. You can get her at 4-1 for unanimous decision, but I think it'll be a really close fight. So I don't know if I would back that. I could see there being perhaps a split decision or a majority decision, one way or the other. Have you got anything else to add on that card, Danny, at all? Or I've got one more that I could perhaps add.
No, I had a look, but this sort of card is the co-main and main, really. You look through even the odds of the preliminary fights, and like some good names, obviously Lauren Price, Cara Sartensol, Caroline Dubois, but I struggled to find any value. But I'm interested to hear what your third one is.
Yeah, obviously you mentioned there a few of those names. I think Dubois, I was thinking in my head, I think Dubois will stop her opponent, but she was 1-4 to stop her, so no value there. Yeah. But I was looking again, and this is only her second professional fight, I believe, but Cara Sartensol, I know she didn't win by knockout in her first fight, but she was promising that she was going to win it by this one. And by knockout, obviously, this was meant to happen over a month ago, but it hasn't, and she's 13-8 to win by stoppage. So this is kind of a shot in the dark, really, to be honest. I just saw that price, and she does seem confident that she's gonna stop her opponent. So I'm thinking, you know what, why not enhance those odds and make a decent enough treble? So yeah, the three of mine, of the Meyer unanimous decision, Marshall decision, and Artenstall knockout or technical knockout, you can get a treble just under 20-1. So yeah, tenner returns £205, which I think, you know, a bit of a risky bet, but I think definitely rewarding odds there if you do back it.
Yeah, definitely. Just on that Cara Sartensol one, I remember her first fight, and as you say, she didn't get the knockout, but like she was going for it the whole time. Like you see a lot of like debutantes, and even more so in sort of female boxing, where you feel you've bet on a knockout, and I bet on the knockout in the first fight, and you just think like this is no chance here. But like up until the end, I thought like she could stop her here. So like you'll get a run for it definitely if she's saying the same stuff she's saying for this fight. Because remember for the first fight saying, "Oh, I'm going for the knockout." I think she sort of wants to be a very fan friendly fighter. So I think that 13 is actually not a bad price. Now you say it.
Yeah, decent enough odds. I think that obviously obviously your two stand alone. Did you say was it 6-1 and 3-1 of yours?
6-1 and 3-1. So what? Tenner gets you. Is that 280, something like that?
Yeah.
Wouldn't go putting your mortgage on it, like, but
Yeah, it's incredible odds. So yeah, could be worth a punt. Well, listen, Danny, thanks again for previewing the betting show with me here, head of Shields Marshall. Yeah, as we said again at the start, Sky Boxers show. If you're not a Sky customer but do want to watch the fight, you can get a 24-hour pass or whatever. I'm sure we'll put a load of stuff up on our social media with links and stuff that you can follow if you do want to watch that fight, and the link in the description to this video as well. So yes, Danny, thanks very much for that.
no bother, mate. Cheers.